much. Let's dig into this deeper now with Chuck Rocha and Kevin Sheridan. Chuck is a CBS News political contributor and Democratic strategist. Kevin formerly served as a spokesperson for the RNC, and he is a Republican strategist. Good Wednesday morning to you both. Chuck, let's start with you. And in Iowa, we saw a Trump-endorsed candidate lose the Republican nomination for governor and an insurgent progressive also losing the Democratic nomination for Senate. So what does that tell us about early voters there?
It tells you that there's a frustration. I think your package from California shows that as well. It's one of the few things that's cut across every election that we're working on at my firm, from Maine to California, is there's an anxiety. And across the country, at the federal level, you see Republicans bearing the brunt of that because they control Washington, D.C. They control every aspect of our government. But to fairness to Democrats, in California, Democrats are in control of everything. And you see the frustration with them last night. Right now, the overarching theme is folks are tired of being sick and tired, and they want something new. And I think that's why you saw some of the results. Let me also say in Iowa last night that the veterans group Vote Vets actually put this Iowa Senate seat in play because they ran $10 million worth of pro-Tarek messaging. Nothing against any other Democrat in a state that Donald Trump won by 13 points, where there's 200,000 more Republicans. That seat now will probably be in play in November.
And Kevin, what do you think of the results? And give us some insight into where the money is going and what's maybe surprising to you.
Well, just a big picture, you're right. It's going to be an anti-incumbent environment for anybody in total control of anything. So I agree with Chuck on that, but it's also a statement about the failure of blue state and blue city models. Spencer Pratt, shouldn't normally have any chance of winning that race in L.A. for the mayor, and he very much, is in contention. So there's that. In Iowa, I don't know that we're going to end up having to spend tens of millions, but maybe we do on that Senate race. Because I think we've got a very strong candidate. It's a plus 14 Republican state there in the last election for Trump. So it's on the board, but it's not going to rise, I think, to the top of the list right now.
Yeah. And you mentioned what's happening in L.A. with Spencer Pratt doing better than a lot had expected. He's still in the mix to become the city's next mayor. In his own words, he's not a politician. Let's play that.
I don't want to be a politician. I wasn't ready. I didn't know I'd be the mayor, but I know what people want now. They want somebody to speak the truth for their communities and fight for them.
He almost said he wasn't ready, but he caught himself there. What really then is driving this hunger for anti-establishment candidates, as you've both laid out? Affordability is the thing that we're hearing voters say is the most important thing to them.
Yeah, it was the rise in... Go ahead, Kevin.
Kevin, you go ahead and go first. Yeah.
I was just going to say it's the floor has been raised so high over in core inflation that people just can't keep up with it. And with gas prices now are now the new problem. But everything has gotten more expensive. Housing and that happened over a period of the last 6 years. That wasn't just Trump. A lot of that happened under Biden, obviously. So there's going to be anti-incumbent sentiment all the way down the line. But the only hope for Republicans is Democrats are not popular either. So we do have a competitive setup for November.
And Chuck, just explain that logic of affordability being a big issue for most people, but outsiders really having a leg up.
Errol, let me take that a step further. We saw an election in New York just a year ago where a Democratic socialist won, and everybody thinks Mondani is now the second coming, and he's doing a good job there. There was a Democratic socialist on the ballot last night in the L.A. mayor's race, and she ran third. So all the things that you're seeing in one state don't replicate to another, even in a very blue area, to Kevin's point, in this race. You saw Bass, who's most would say is a common sense Democrat, run in first place. But if you look down the ballot, that's really really hard for Democrats when the incumbent's only getting 34%. Now, as we go to November, those at home should know there'll only be two people there. It looks like it'll be Spencer Pratt's against the incumbent mayor that's there. Where do the rest of those people go in November? And in November, a whole lot of new people will show up who don't participate in primaries. That's the big undetermined now as we move into November in California.
Yeah, and I guess, because each state is different, all voters are different. Chuck, what is your overall takeaway from the results we've seen so far?
So far, there's an energy in Democrats and Republicans out there to do something. Right now, they are mad about paying more for everything, to all of the things that you've been saying. So what you see in a state like Texas, where there was a primary in March, you had a 30% increase in Democratic turnout. You had people crossing over to vote in different primaries. Folks are looking for a solution, and they're going to the ballot box to try to figure that out.
Kevin, I would imagine you agree 100%, but what's your overall takeaway from the results we've seen so far?
Yeah, I mean, November is going to be all about, whether or not the core dynamics of what's going on worldwide and in this country with prices and everything else versus candidate selection on the Democratic side, because they've gotten themselves in a corner in Maine and other places with some candidates who might not play with independent voters particularly. So. That's the setup, obviously. It's the macro trends versus candidate selection right now.
All right, Chuck Rocha and Kevin Sheridan, great to have you with us this Wednesday. Thanks for being here.